Okay, so, alright, so this is what we're opening now. Here, so, Star Trek customizable card game mirror. This is a box, 11 cards each, and 30 packs in the box. So what we did earlier, or the last video for this was 36 packs, but that was in the premiere, and those were that run. Those were 36 packs. The other two expansions that were also 36 packs were the Q Continuum and Alternate Universes. So each of these came with a sort of new rules, outfit, clarifications. This, for example, has the Enigma icon on it, which is Board Queen. And then the mirror version, reason why it's on this one, is the mirror version of Vic Fontaine is also called an Enigma. Which, it's like unique, but not quite unique kind of thing. So, it's that. So, let's start with the first pack here. Open it up. So we got Ops, Mirror Universe. We got Rukar. D7 Battlecruiser with dual affiliations. Terran Outpost. Wyatt Earp. And I'm pretty sure this is, I'll say right here. So this is card 127. It's a rare. And it's the Regency 1, which is the Worf's flagship from the Mirror Universe for the Deep Space Nine. Then we have the Emperor's New Cloak, which is a objective. We have Tyre Byrne, who is a Bajoran. Javak Lan, who's also Bajoran. Destruction. And Casino Royale slots, which is a dilemma. So, the vast majority of these, though not exclusively, do come from the Mirror episodes. So you'll see stuff that is both Mirror original series, and then you'll see stuff that is Mirror largely Deep Space Nine. Since neither Voyager or TNG had a actual thing. So this is an Alliance, Covert, Quantum Fissure, Classic Disruptor, Devo, and this is Burrell, or Mirror Burrell. So this is a this is the rare. Then For Cardassia, which is actually from much later in DS9 than some of these episodes. Lorva, Gorus, Emblem of Alliance, and the crossover incident, which is one of the ways you can get the Mirror Universe to work with each other. So a bunch of these cards are also going to be Mirror Universe. So that's a separate, like the Delta Quadrant, it's a separate quadrant area. But some of them are also just going to be alternate universe cards. And some of them will be both. So, because that's alternate universe is often based on timeline, whereas some of this is just same timeline, different place. So we have Tamara Ben, Disrupted Alliance. So this is Bajor in the Mirror Universe. So you can see that it has this M here. And that is the thing that says Mirror. In the same location, you'll find the Gamma and Delta Quadrant indications for those missions that happen to be that. So this is an ISS Constitution. Then we have a hostage trade. And this is Lieutenant Moreau. So this is a normal toss card. It just happens to be from the very end of the Mirror episode, where you meet who she is in Kirk's native time. So, and then this dilemma is the artillery attack, which is a rare. Not a big fan of dilemmas that are rares, but that one has potential. Then Emblem of the Iron. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. That's one of those classic lines. So that's from the Horta episode. And then we have Tigress here, who is just a normal Romulan. So, and the Empire's New Cloak, and Terrier Ben. Did we start that pack with him? Anyways, I have to admit that's definitely one of those things that is really odd if you manage to get the same card in the pack twice. But because of the way they sort this, where they sort of have some commons at the beginning and some commons at the end, it can definitely be like that. As opposed to where in the other packs and on the Premier side, they were 3 uncommons, then a rare, then a bunch of commons. Whereas this is sort of like some commons first, then your uncommons, and then your rares. So here's an Alliance Corvot. Here's Korvac. So as you can see, unlike the Premiers, this has in the right bottom corner a card number and a rarity. So it's that, and Vatok. There's a Mirror Ferengi shuttle, a Klingon Empire outpost, which is the Mirror Klingon, and here's a rare. Definitely a rare we want to see. So this is James Tiberius Kirk. This is the Ruthless Captain Kirk. Leadership ×2, Treachery ×2, Archaeology, which I always find is an interesting thing, and download TARDIS Field and Classical Communicator. Of course, Classical Communicator, at least in the continuing community, normal rules is currently a banned card. I should have Communicators in here, so I'll show you it and then why it's so good. So a Classic Disruptor, a Divan twice, and an instant Godfrey with that weird salute they decided to do for the salute. So, yeah, security guy with science. Actually, as an interesting point, there is flavor text that says why he's doing that. More advancement, basically. The Mirror Universe is all about advancement. If you've ever seen those Mirror episodes, they are. I like the Mirror Universe. Some people don't. So this is an Alliance Nor. So it's a station. So here's a Tellock. Armex. Tavor. So this is a Bajoran Wormhole Mirror Universe. There is, obviously in Deep Space Nine, there is a Bajoran Wormhole, and you can do a couple different things to get this to move from a standard universe to another universe. So here's a Professor Cisco. Not necessarily like a completely good card, or spectacular card, but definitely a card to sustain. So you'll find that the one thing about the Mirror Universe is that these icons here are a little more important than the actual affiliation kind of thing. If you put those symbols out, then you can use these freely instead of the regular affiliations. So she's unlimited, or she's non-aligned, so therefore she can sort of pal around with anybody anyways. But several of the other ones are mixed, right? Because the Cardassians and the Klingons are allied. So some of those. So another distraction, another slots, and Alliance Interceptor. This is the Gaunt. This is an incredibly interesting card. So it has resistance, which means typical mirror this. So this is sort of like a in fact, I think this is from a flashback in the episode where the resistance cell that Kira's a part of gets all together, and this is part of that flashback. So they have resistant anthropology and youth, and sort of like typical kind of thing. So, yeah, and then there's a little more detail in this about that. But as an interesting point, just an alternate universe, not an actual mirror universe. So this is a Romulan cloaking device, also mirror universe, but not that other thing. So, or not mirror, but just toss. Or that. Okay. Okay, so this is Overseer Mendrin, who's an uncommon. Then we have a Torvor. Then we have an Alliance Galor. Then we have an experimental attack ship. Now, please note that this is just a Dominion ship. It's just a generic Dominion ship. It does have energy damper and invasive transporters, which have their own rules, obviously. And then we have a Javak Lin. And then we have a Marlena Monroe. So when we had Lieutenant Monroe, this is her counterpart in the Mirror Universe. Right? So she has a bit of different skills here. And she's, Alliance. Then we have a Terran Outpost. A Wyatt Earp, which we had seen earlier. And then an Ambulan Alliance. So you can seed or play as on table down to Art of Diplomacy. These cards and those cards may mix without affiliations. It does allow you to sort of mix some other stuff into it. Yeah. So, and then a classic Disruptor and Devano. I have to admit, you'll end up with a lot of Devano. I'm not sure. I think he might actually be on the common sheet more times than some of the other cards on the common sheet. And that's why you get so many of them. I just know that I haven't had a ton of them, especially compared to what I opened. So we have his companion, Garus. We have blood screening from that episode. Slots. Treaty Federation on Dominion. If you're wondering if the Dominion treaties, some of those treaties are in this deck. Here is Rhinox, who was the Ophis crewman of Regent Worf. And we get the Devian neural parasites from that classic episode. And that's a rare dilemma. Not my favorite because of that, but it is what it is. Then we have Bajoran Wormhole, Mirror Universe, an Alliance Galor, an Alliance Covert, a hostage trade again, and then also a Lieutenant Monroe. So, yeah, so her mirror version is a rare, but her regular version is an uncommon, not a rare. So I'm just shifting some piles here. Sorry. Okay, so we have the ever famous Agonizer booth. I believe that's Chekhov in that. Self-sealing stem bolts. That's from that episode where Jake and Nog do all that trading. Here's a crossover thing. Here is a prot. So this is actually an ensign from the Barash illusion. This is what this icon means. It's also an alternate reality character. You can see the alternate rank insignia over here. And it's quite a potent character, actually, with 4 skills there. Youth, archaeology, navigation, and geology. We have a rebel interceptor instead of an alliance interceptor. And then our rare is Mr. Quark. And a really interesting thing about the family here is that all of these people basically have a skill here. So this says when this leaves played, you may download Mr. ROM. So you can go and fetch ROM out of your deck. Here's a Lieutenant Monroe. Here's a Devon. Here's a Gaffrey. Here's a stolen cloaking device. So this was the cloaking device they stole at some point as part of a deal for, I think it's a ransom that Worf gets somebody somehow. Mirror Worf, like Regent Worf, which is an interesting concept in terms there when you talk about that. But, it is what it is. All right. So here we have a battle cruiser. And then Gaunt. Then a Romulan cloaking device. Emblem of Alliance. Crossover. And an act of diplomacy. Okay, so it's an instant and it's a rare. This is Ops Mirror Universe, which is a location card. That's why. Then we have a Rudgar, another battlecruiser, another Cavort, and a Fisher. Yep. So hasn't been too terrible yet. I mean, definitely an improvement over the box that preceded it, where it was kind of terrible. But definitely, not the biggest fan of getting dilemmas, or even the incidents. All right. So this is block, crossover, mirror dagger, agonizer, rebel interceptor, and this is Chief Surgeon McCoy. Now, of course, in the episode, this is actually a picture of the real McCoy. Not the Chief Surgeon, because he's imprisoned in the regular universe. But yeah, definitely McCoy and a rare, which gives us, that's the second mirror bridge crew that we've gotten so far. Technically, there are a couple bridge crew members. It vastly depends how you look at it. But anyways, Taylok, Amdrex, Tavort, Disrupt Alliance, and the IS Constitution. So that's good. So say right now we're about a third through. I'm not keeping super accurate track because I am not that kind of person. But definitely taking a look at that. Okay. Lorva, Garrus, Chicha, the game, Ensign Davis, Mirror Dagger, and then Hako Council. So that's the rare. Disrupt Alliance. Yes, Constitution. Hostage Trade. Self-Sealing Stem Bolts. And Klingon Empire Outpost. Again, not super exciting when it's not a personality in that rare slot. I'm as weak to it as the next guy. Okay. So we have we have emergency conversion here with this really nice picture of Scotty and McCoy working in search for rebels. Self-seeing stem bolts, Klingon Empire Outpost, stolen cloaking device, and this is Mr. Brunt. So it becomes a circle. So you can download Mr. Quark with Mr. Brunt after you go through ROM, Nog, and then I believe Nog gets you Mr. Brunt. Mr. Brunt gets you Stain. I'll be perfectly honest. Mr. Brunt is much different character, arguably much more good than the regular Brunt. Vatok, Mir Ferengi Shuttle, Empire Outpost, Wormhole, Galor. Yeah. Unlike when I was doing the premiere, the commons are going to look a lot more of the same because there's a lot less of them. Technically, there's a lot less of each, but because there's less of the other cards in a pack, it'll seem like you're getting more of the same commons repeating. To a certain degree, you are, but if it seems like I'm going a little fast over the commons when they appear, it's just simply because we've seen them significant amount of times this time. So this is No Way Out, which is an uncommon. Here's a Dominion that Ops Mirror Universe, Gorn Encounter, a Marauder, and here is a Rook. So this is a TOS character. So it has an alternate universe. It has the TOS logo, which is here. And this is the guy who plays Lurch in the Addams Family for the sitcom in the 60s, too. Then we get Renox, Alliance Covert, Korvac, Armax, Tavar. Super exciting. That was not bad rare. Comparatively. I mean, definitely could be worse. Alright, so here's Cal. I don't think we've seen a lot of him. We've definitely not seen a Mr. Andrews yet, but now we do. There's a Vulcan Death Grip where they fake out the people. Lorba. Dorza. And this is Tom Paris. So this is Tom Paris, where he gets into a fight where, this is one of those alternate history things on Voyager, but this is where he gets into a fight with, that costs him his spot on Voyager. So, but he's non-aligned here. Then we have Prot, Rebel Interceptor, Alliance Nor, Javek Nillian, and Taylor Bran. So, I'm trying to remember what the white border premiere on this in this set is, but I can't quite remember. Basically, it'll be the premiere of the next set, which I'm not sure. It might have been Trouble for Tribbles. I'm not positive on that. Actually, no, it'll be something else. I can't remember what the next set was. So, Instant Godfrey, Distraction, Slots, Alliance, for Cardassia. And this is Mr. Tuvok, so this is the mirror version of Tuvok. So there's a couple other things here. Here, it's kind of an interesting little character. And then we have an enhanced type ship, Len, Tamar, emergency conversion, and search for rebels. So, I like getting Mr. Tuvok. The whole using the mirror universe as a sort of different thing in this does give pretty a little dynamic. It kind of makes you play with like a handful of cards. Mostly because I think there are only so many missions that are actually mirror. Alright, so we have a Crewman Wilson. Ferengi Whip. Do you remember that episode? Huh? Do you remember that first season episode where they had whips? Yeah, the Ferengi were supposed to be the reoccurring big bad, but then they went with Romulans for a bit, and then they invented the Borg, which solved that problem. So Ensign, here's a Type 18 shuttle pod. So this is what they put in the Defiance. So there are two of those in the Defiance, and oh look, an ISS Enterprise. Yeah, so there we are. That's a decent rare. Agonizer Booth, Self-Seeing Stem Boats, Crossover, Galore, and Attack Ship. So, but the Enterprise is nice to see. ISS Enterprise, that is. So Armax, Alliance Forcha, Transporter mix-up. So this is actually that Transporter accident that gets them in the mirror universe. This is a multi-dimensional transport dice. So when you see the crossover thing, this is the thing that's going on the pad to sort of get it. That's a classic disruptor. And our rare is Mr. Rom. So Ferengi Soldier and the Terran Republic, mirror version of Rom, seeks vengeance against the Alliance because they killed Quark. Super handy card, and when he leaves play, you get Mr. Nog. So science, navigation twice, physics and geology, which is definitely a different set than the one we know. Then blood screening, slots, Dominion thing, Allowance, Nor, and Taylog. Who, quite honestly, for an uncommon card as a Klingon, is not bad. Leadership, computer skill, treachery, and solid cartography. Although treachery is much more common in mirror Klingons than it is in regular Klingons. Although, given the fact that you think treachery is really uncommon, but because there are so many members of the Duras family in various sets, it's actually fairly common, but almost not quite exclusively, but almost exclusively because of the fact that Duras family has treachery. So we have Disrupt Alliance, ISS Constitution, Hostage Trade, Lieutenant Monroe, Divano, and here is our Ezri. So this is the mirror version. She's a mercenary. She's not joint to a symbiote. She's partnered with Boots. She's one of the intendants persons. This episode, she is super sexed up. But yeah, certainly not a bad rare. Also can download crossover, so that's always nice. Downloading is a way to search for a card. So in this case, you search for a specific card. She's science, transporter skill, leadership, geology, and stellar cartography. Like five skills in a download is pretty good. So you have Overseer Mendel. Because obviously there's an Overseer Auto, which is a rare that I don't have, stuff we've seen before. Really went fast through those commons there, but it is what it is. Definitely one of those things where you're just trying to make sure that you've covered the bases. So, all right, Emperor's New Cloak, Tyre Bren, Javak Lan, Phenomenon Rush. So this is a normal universe mission. It is it's also an any away team mission too. So, that's so you can throw it in any deck, and at 35 points, that's not bad. It does have the sort of disadvantage of anybody can do it, which is a trade-off. Here's the IS Constitution, and here is our rare, and it is the Terran Rebellion HQ. The game, Davis, Mirror Dagger, Overseal, Mendrel, and Tavor. For the, 8th time? We've seen a lot of Tavor. So yeah, so as we sort of go through this stuff, it is what it is. But looking forward to that. So let's see what else we got. We got Terran Outpost. Oh, Lieutenant Kyle. So this is a regular alternate universe card rather and a toss card rather than a mirror card. So if it was a mirror card, it would have those mirror icons here and a mirror icon here saying that's what quadrant it is. I know the mirror universe isn't a quadrant, but it fit better into the system. So this is the emblem of the Empire, which allows you to take these and those cards and mix them. Here's Targaris, who's actually normal universe. This is Mind Dilithium. However, this is in the mirror universe. And then our rare is our commander Charvak, which is the female commander. The Enterprise was attracted to Spock, like several women were in TOS. Then we have an Agonizer, Rebel Interceptor, a Garrus, a Plot, and a Rebel Interceptor. Felt like I said that twice, but that might have been I just misidentified one card. But yes. So, ready to see another Tuvar? Because here he is again. And then we have an Alliance Galor, an Enhanced Atark ship, Javaklan, a Bren, and that's unusual. That's upside down for some reason. Okay, that's not normal, but it is in the right slot, so I'm just going to go. It's just an oddity. Okay, so that's a Luthran. That, and you can see that this one has a Gamma quadrant. So Dominion is generally Gamma quadrant, so this is a Vorta from the Gamma quadrant. There are a handful of cards in Dominion that are Alpha quadrant cards, which means they have no icon. But majority of them are Gamma, and there are reasons you do various things. That's a Romulan cloaking device, emblem of alliance, crossover card, treaty card, and ops. So, I don't know. I always like Vorta, but you get a lot more. There are a lot more Vorta in Dominion, which is a set that is very hard to get. Sort of high demand, not super low print run, but like lower print run. So we got a Marauder here. We've got a Kitang, which is a normal Klingon ship. Dorza, a Mr. Andrews, and then a Dr. Roger Kirby, which is a toss card with archaeology, computer skills, and cybernetics, and then a Scorched Hand, which obviously is a card somewhere. And their rare is actually this Dr. Fallorn. which is the particle mining system, plus develop the exocomps. So you can download an exocomp. So science, engineering, physics, and when a normal particle fountain is 5, now it's 10. Another shuttle pod. You know, Cal, Andrews, Game, Davis. Yippers. Super exciting. I do like personnel as rares more. Although getting the one-offs is kind of not always great. So this is Starux. So this particular Cardassian is actually from a memory. This is this memory where something happens. A variety of the bridge crew are coming back from a thing, like a conference, and as a part of that, they end up in sort of a coma, and then Odo Great Links, and then shows this particular thing. So this was the security officer before Odo was the security officer on Deep Space Nine. And the events that they are experiencing, actually, Odo was the person doing the investigation. But in Odo's mind, this is the representation it is. And it consequently has Odo talking a lot about various things that he missed in his original investigation, or just didn't want to see. Sort of depends how you look at it. Here's a transporter chief, Kyle. So we had a Lieutenant Kyle earlier, right? And this is the mirror version of that, where it's transporter chief. And then we have a Korvac. And again, we have Luran, except facing the right way this time. Then we have a Balrock, crossover, Mirror Dagger, Stem Bolts, crossover. So 2 crossovers in a single pack. So that's collation at its best, right? Am I right? I am right. So, anyways, working on that. So, you tired of this Bajoran yet? It shows up a lot. Roman cloaking device, Emblem of Alliance, crossover. So this is Overseer Mandel. So this is the mirror version of Mandel. So in this universe, he replaces Odo, where in the regular universe, Odo replaces him. Because in the very first episode, which I think is just called Crossover, they kill Odo. And then a fast ship would be nice, which is the rare. Again, a dilemma. Not the biggest fan of dilemma rares. Battlecruiser. There, you can see right here, there's 2 of these in this pack, and then a No Way Out. So, delightful. Delightful. I want to say we're about halfway through. No, more like 2/3. 2/3. Sorry, 30 pack. 30 packs goes pretty quick. So here's a multi-dimensional transport device. I think this is only the second one in this box, and it's common. Vorcha, energy conversion, 35th rule of acquisition, which is the first time we've seen that. There's a crewman Wilson. There's a Kelvelian show of force, which is the rare. Again, it's a rare dilemma. Not the biggest fan of that. Ferengi Whip, Alliance Disruptor, thing, blah, 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 blah. Common people. We've seen them a couple dozen times now. But I kind of want to be complete. And like, this is what the whole pack looks like. It's pretty hard to talk about people you've seen 8 or 9 times. Lawrence Knorr, Okay, there's a Soap Commander Tall, which isn't uncommon, but this is the first one in the box. Then we get an Incident here, Hostage Trade, Kurvok, and the Intendant. So this is Mirror, Kira Nerys. Leadership Navigation may replace anyone present who was part of it or targeted by a gender-related dilemma. And Treachery ×2. One of the beauties of the Deep Space Nine Mirror of Universes is just Kira just being evil and sexy at the same time. I really can't lie. I really enjoy it. And then people, stuff, things, nothing right home about. It is nice to get the Intendant. I think I've managed to get an Intendant in every box of Mirror I've opened. So I have a few Intendants, but can you really have too many Intendants? I say no. All right. So we got to search for rebels here. And stun bolts, Klingon Empire, Stolen Cloaking Device, Battle Cruiser. Then we get a Mirror Tadak Nor. So this is this is a station, and it's dual on each side. So there's a Cardassian / Alliance, and then there is a Rebellion Empire Federation. And the other, like the regular Deep Space Nine, is also done this way, where it is on one side one affiliation, and on the other it's another. Interestingly enough, these are the only things that do that. Is the Nors, the Nor and Deep Space Nine, just both versions of it. Stun bolts, thing, transporter mishap, and our third multi-dimensional thing, which, given the fact that that's a common piece of equipment, is kind of funny. All right, we're right at the tail end now. I have 3 packs left, so that's definitely something. So let's move on to that. All right, third last pack. So Empire Emblem, or Empire of Alliance, Empire of Emblem, Dr. Nod Bricklayer, Tagaris Historical Research, which is Gateway. Oh, right. This is where the Guardian of Forever is. And that's anyone can attempt it. Hey, look, a Fontaine. Something that makes absolutely no sense, because in the real universe, he's a hologram. But in the mirror universe, he's a person. And I'll be perfectly honest, in a combat deck, the fact you can download 2 disruptors, and each must add that plus 2 strength. So, yeah, I mean, in a well-constructed deck, this is a card with a strength 9. So, yeah, Feminine Rush, Iosa, Wilson, Alliance, and 4 Cardassia, where Damar becomes the leader of the resistance against the Dominion, and eventually becomes a martyr. You know, because martyrs, not bad for an alcoholic. Devon, Vincent Jeffrey, Distraction, Slots, Alliance Interceptor, Chief Navigator Chekhov, and that evil smile. So here's our mirror universe. He's got youth, treachery, navigation, astrophysics, and he gives +1 range and weapons to the ship. Of course, because it's a Constitution, that's not. It's a good bonus, but because it's not top tier anyways, that's not. So that's a dimensional, which means we've finally gotten to about 4, which is about right for a box, but it's one of those things of it took us long enough, and basically we had one early on, and then I'd say the last 9 packs is where that the other 3 were. So this is the last pack. Tree, Ops, Universe, Gorn Encounter, not a terrible dilemma. Marauder. That. Unfortunately, we got Construct Starship as our rare, which is an objective, which is whatever. Definitely would have liked a personality on that final thing. Final of that box. So that's all 30, guys. Thanks for leave a like. I'd say subscribe, but honestly, I'm such a hodgepodge creator that maybe that's not something that really will interest you. But anyways, it's nice for you to be here. Thanks for you sticking it out. And our next box will be Trouble with Tribbles.